So, yes, good morning everyone. We will talk about citizen engagement and the formation of public opinion. This is a nation-based model that has been done by Julian Carbonnet and Mark Hopsman in Wageningen University and Research. So, yes. That's the plan. We will talk about the background research, then present the model, and then go into the analysis and some conclusive remarks. About the theoretical background, we are using two main references. The first one is the post-democracy state that has been developed by Colin Crouch in 2000. It depicts how the earliest democratic regimes, USA, Western Europe and Japan, are progressively losing some of their foundations in the profit to an emerging elite. And we are adding another concept of distant citizenship that has been developed by Vincent Tiberge in 2017, who say that the population of our democracies are composed of well-understanding individuals which can turn very fast from a usual apathetic state to a temporarily highly engaged crowd for each issues that matter to them. And so our research question is, does individual citizen engagement influence the formation of public opinion at scale? And we have two primary hypotheses, which are highly engaged citizens can reach an increased influence over the whole population, and these highly engaged citizens gain influence from significant facilities. So our model is composed of an environment which is a geometrical toroid world where there are no borders. It represents an artificial city, but it's not hosting any spatial relationships, but rather social ones between agents. And the agents are citizens of either positive, neutral or negative opinion, which also has an engagement score and a status level which both confer an increased influence over peers. The interaction are kind of simple, so the citizens will talk to each other in order to influence the opinion of peers, and by talking to peers they will gain engagement points and they will also have the possibility to increase their social status. So that's the flowchart representation of our model. So as we can see, we start with different possibilities of data input. Then we set up our agents, and on the go, the first option is find a peer. So do you have a peer? If no, you don't have a peer, so agent will walk randomly, and by walking he will lose social status and he will lose engagement score. When he finds a peer, so he will start another process, which is the approach, and so he will approach to talk to the peer. He will talk to a peer during 20 ticks, and at the end of this talk he will gain an engagement score. He will also leave, and during this moment where he leaves, they will have a battle on social status and an influence of opinion. So the battle basically says that the one agent with the stronger social status will win more influence, while the other one with a weaker social status will be influenced by the first one, depending also about their opinion and their engagement score.
May I interrupt just a minute?
Yes.
So once again, what exactly was the research question?
Wait, I try to get back. Here it is.
Highly engaged citizens?
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Those highly engaged citizens can reach an influence over the whole population.
Yeah, okay. And those data sets, are they actual data sets, or do you just have different setups that you have given a name?
No, the three case studies, which are Taipei City in Taiwan, Tel Aviv in Israel, and Tallinn in Estonia, are three of my empirical research.
Oh, okay. So it's actually...
Yeah, but for this demo, we will work on the manual setup because we still need to fix some code in order to be able to input the empirical data. Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah.
So regular patterns are that we always have one unique sentiment that can be positive or negative that takes the whole society. This final result is affected by slightly unbalanced distribution of opinion at the setup. So basically, this is confirming some of the original voting model outputs from the NetLogo libraries, but a bit different. And from the facilities, increasing the influence of one agent on another, we have the engagement score and the social status features, which have the possibility to reverse an initial unbalance in the spread of opinion, in the distribution of opinion. So also another pattern that comes back is that the engagement score and the social status both speeds the opinion spread, but they don't reach a better efficiency when they are combined together. So it means that maybe there is a sort of balance in between the influence that can be reached from agents, depending if they have a higher engagement score or a higher social status, and so it will say that those two facilities are balancing each other and makes somehow the society a bit more equal. The initial percentage of highly engaged citizens changed the speed of the opinion spread. So that's an answer to our hypothesis. And Mark will show you all that in detail. It will be more easy to understand how the model acts when running live. So what I can show here, I'm sorry, this plot looks like a 10-year-old kid did it with paint, but it's not. It's true data, but there are a lot of data points. You can see that we have 8,000 ticks. So yeah, of course, yeah, it's like that. And so we can see that the formation of public opinion with no facilities takes 8,000 ticks. It goes faster when we have 8% of highly engaged citizens and so the engagement score facility on. Then it goes even faster with only social status facility, and we can see that the social status plus engagement score with 8% of highly engaged gives something that's a bit different of the social status, and the result is not more efficient. So this can come from how way to code the parameters, and so there are rooms to maneuver, but also maybe it will be a constant at the model level, yeah, which means that social status and highly engaged used together are balancing each other.
And have you tried that with different parameter settings?
Yeah, I will show you a couple of more tries, but we don't reach at the end a satisfactory validity on this.
Okay.
So this is the evolution of facilities. So you can see social status evolution and engagement score evolution by the total number of talks. Be careful because there is the variables are not normalized, so the difference is not so big that it shows on the left plot. But still, we can see that the engagement score tends to flat very soon at 1,000 tick, while the social status keeps evolving, and it evolves in a less regular way. It has some drops in. And so when we plot the two same variables, so the evolution of social status and the evolution of the engagement score by the highly engaged number or percentage of citizens, so we can see that the engagement score is growing constantly, which is normal, but the social status is not behaving so straight away.
Something is happening at tick number 100, right?
Yes, I think the model keeps running, and the social state.
But this is much more zoomed in than your left picture, because that's much more ticks.
Yeah. Thank you. And
so please move on.
What we wanted to plot, so what we did is that we tried the speed of opinion formation depending on the initial percentage of highly engaged citizens, and we can see that there is not any regular relationship, which means there are certain levels of highly engaged citizens that make the formation of public opinion more efficient than others. For example, we can check without the social status facility. It's quite irregular, but still we can see that the best initial percentage will be like 25, 35, and 70, for example. So, but for example, it takes twice more time for 30 and 65 to form a public opinion. So this is kind of very interesting, and we see that with the social status facility, somehow the variable percentage of highly engaged is better controlled. It's more predictable somehow. There is a very big difference between 25% and 30%, but otherwise it's kind of flat somehow. Yeah. So our model is still under validation. Let's say we will need to normalize and reparameter our facilities. We would like to master the experiment seed better to fix the random distribution of opinion, because we know this initial distribution of opinion, even slightly different, can influence the final output. And we would like to identify more tightly the key values of percentage of highly engaged citizens, notably. So for the next step, we will be able to answer: is it true that the engagement score and social status tends to balance each other? Or we would also like to finalize the empirical data inputs to be able to simulate real-life cities, real-life contexts. As a conclusion, I would like to say that, so to answer our problematic, which is how do individual citizen engagement influence the formation of public opinion at scale? It does. So indeed, the individual influence the whole, but we are not sure yet if there is a linear relationship between the percentage of highly engaged and the speed of formation opinion. What's this one show that there is no linear relationship, so there are more like level values. Okay, thank you. The model is available on GitHub, and we can drop us an email. Now I would like to leave the floor to my teammates, which will show you.
So, do I need to make a presenter, or is it fine?
Yes, please. Can you share the screen to Mark?
I'm not sure how much time did we have left. You said
we have now exactly 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Okay, so I'll keep it
And we should also have a few questions.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes, I'll just show a couple of things. Let's see. All right, so here is our model. Just quickly in the interface, you can see that the environment is just black, just an artificial city. It's more about the network of the citizens. And the blue citizens have a positive public opinion, the gray are neutral, and the red are negative. And the different sizes in the citizens show if a person is highly engaged or not. To show a bit at the setup, this is then the input file of the data that we have. Here we can choose between different data sets, but for now we'll keep it at the manual setup. We have the experiment seed of 5, because with an initial highly engaged percentage of 8%, and that's the number that was empirically validated earlier, that's about the number in a city. Then we have the same amount of negative and positive opinions, so we thought it would be the most appropriate. This is the slider to change the initial percentage of highly engaged citizens. And here we have a couple buttons to turn off the effect of engagement score, the effect of social status, and this is to show the number. For the first run, I would just like to show you how it runs without any note of engagement score and social status. So if we run it, you can see this is like the normal speed. The citizens walk around, and when they couple with another citizen, they engage in a talk. And during that time, they can increase their engagement score, and they change their social status depending on the status of the other one. And the engagement score, or the opinion, that is also increased or decreased depending on the opinion of the other. And here we have a plot of the different opinions in the world. And this may take a while, so I just speed it up that you can see a bit what happens. And as you can see here, that at some point blue has a tipping point with the neutral ones, and when that tipping point occurs, that positive is higher, then it goes pretty fast until there is a steady state that the whole world has one opinion.
So but no engagement.
This is without engagement score, yes. And you can see that it takes about 5,700 ticks to go to this condition that there's one opinion dominant. And if I change it to a setup with 8%, for example, you can see that the citizens can change in terms of their size to become highly engaged or not. And maybe I can show you that like this. When a person is highly engaged, you can see that the distance between the citizens is larger. So they have essentially a bigger vision to approach other agents, depending on this. And if we run it, you can actually see that as a result of just 8% of highly engaged citizens, this time the other opinion, the negative opinion, actually takes the upper hand. So that can be the reason that, for example, a larger percentage of citizens with a negative opinion, or for example, a neutral opinion that leans towards negative, were highly engaged, which resulted in the whole world becoming the other color. And it took also a little bit more ticks, which could be namely 6,300. Sorry, I don't think you can read that. Which maybe shows this struggle that now the negative ones are a bit more in control. And if we change it, for example, to 25%, this was, according to our sensitivity analysis, the most optimal state for engagement score. Can run it a bit fast. And then it's again the blue color that takes the upper hand, and it takes less ticks, namely this. I'll just show you shortly the effect if we turn social status on. With also 25%, you can now see a number, and depending on the number of the other one, they gain 1 point of social status per interaction. And per point in social status, their speed is increased, because if you have a larger influence or more power, you're able to influence more citizens, which is why you can move around faster. in this model to influence other citizens. And as a result of this, together with engagement score, you can often see that the engagement score and social status are often co-occurring with citizens, which is why it only took 2,200 ticks in this setting to influence the whole world. So it goes a lot faster. Yeah, the only thing left for me to show maybe is if there is no engagement score and only looking at social status, then again, they move quickly. And in this case, it takes more ticks than with engagement score, but less ticks than without the social status. So this maybe shows that engagement score, as we showed earlier in the analysis, may have a balancing effect on social status. And we can go more into this with the validation. To experiment, for example, a bit about the effect of division when you're highly engaged. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you.
Thank you very much.
Right.
We have 5 minutes left. Is there anyone who would like to comment or ask questions? I was looking at, I was intrigued by what you said, Julien, about the model is under validation, and then you mentioned a couple of model issues that you wanted to solve.
Mm-hmm.
But validation is about reality, right? So how resemblance for reality, at least in this course, that's what we assume.
Okay.
How much do your results resemble what happens in the real world? So that's a question that you should ask yourself for when you talk about validation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And my comment was, it's really nice. By the way, I didn't start with saying very, very nice and well elaborated mechanisms and a nice way to test each mechanism by turning it on and off. And so yes, my compliments. But to add something, I was thinking in a real world, also thinking of the social media model that we saw before, there is a limit, I think, on public opinion. If you have very extreme, you are never going to convince an extreme, let's say, anti or pro-climatist or whatever opinion to the other one. Huh? So there should be some kind of limiting effect, I think. On the other hand, maybe this is also, again, a theory-oriented model. Huh? You don't want to take everything into account to blur the results, but I was thinking you're never going to convince some extreme opinions like what's happening here in the model. So maybe it could be nice to have a kind of, also there's probably also research to what extent can a community actually convert an extreme opinion. It was just a wild idea that I had.
Yeah, this is a very good point. I think that in real life, people are somehow rooted in certain opinion. They don't turn from very negative to very positive like that, and all the population will not turn to a single opinion, for sure. What we wanted to, the thing is, we could not model everything in the society.
No. This was just you don't need to take this into account, but just as a
it's an interesting remark, of course.
The point of.
I
think you have put a lot in already.
Thank you. We also thought about something else, is that the way we present the formation of public opinion is more a situation where activists tends to make power moves on neutral citizens to convince them. So this is also a specific situation in democracy, because it's not always happening like that. And for example, if we make the difference with social network, for example, Instagram, it's the other way. So people who have a very, let's say, neutral account will be maybe seduced, or let's say they have a low social status and they will be seduced, and so they will seduced by the one with higher social status, more followers, and so in real life maybe the opinion is also shaped by the fact that some people are trying to get closer to the one with higher social status, and just to make themselves a bit more famous too. So somehow we are representing a more specific situation.
Well, I would like to thank you, and
thank you
also thank all the others. Before we are kicked out, we have 1.5 minutes to keep talking if we want. The experimental seed, you can do that, fix the seed, and you can also take it with you in the sensitivity analysis if you don't fix it, to see how big is the influence of the randomness. Or maybe I'm saying something stupid, but so in your sensitivity analysis, you can take the random seed as also one of the variables that is influential in your model, and you could test its sensitivity, and you can also fix it.
Yes, of course. What happens now, what we managed to do is to master the experiment seeds only in terms of the number of positive and negative, to make them the same. The thing is that what happens inside the neutral ones is that they can be skewed left or skewed right, and so the state, the sum of the neutral opinions can be a bit negative or a bit positive, and this affects the output. And so this is something we would like to fix better with the experimental seeds.
Okay. Dirk has put a joke in, I think. Any other people? Because now I think we have 90 minutes, but I saw in the bongo that the virtual classroom is 90 minutes. Anyway, I think we have had a nice morning of presentations. I wish you good luck finalizing your reports.